So, what you can do to prepare? Taking a structured approach to getting hired means starting early and getting some important things out of the way first. Get good. Navigating this process can be a beast, but don't let it distract you from building your skills, which ultimately will determine if you get the job or not. This course assumes you have already made it through the other courses and have accomplished enough in their completion to elevate you to competence. If not, you have got to ruthlessly address your weak points, even if it's the tricky stuff like algorithms and data structures. You can take help from your peers and your classmates in order to be qualified for the kinds of positions you are applying to. Craft a narrative. You may be uncomfortable selling yourself, but that's exactly what you will have to do. So you have to learn. You have to always learn how to sell yourself. Luckily, that doesn't mean acting like a used car salesman. It's more subtle than you think. It really means crafting a story about who you are, how you got to where you are, and why you will keep growing. Everyone can tell a story. So put some effort into crafting a compelling narrative that stitches together your background, especially if you come from a non traditional background, non technical background, into a compelling and unavoidable wave of capability and drive. How to Explain Your Career Transition by Dory Clark. So, this is an interesting article. It's on HBR.org. So, it's HBR.org. How to Explain Your Career Transition. Build a portfolio. All along the way, you should keep building things. The work you have done will be crucial to demonstrating your technical skill and getting hired. Employers want to see that you can build and ship code and that you can make good decisions when confronted with engineering trade offs. All of this stems from conversations about your portfolio of work. The portfolio is also important for another thing that isn't mentioned much, which is social proof. If you have been a part of a larger or group projects, that's almost like showing that you have worked somewhere before. It makes the employer comfortable that other people have worked with you before, so they can too. Speaking of group projects, participating in the open source community is a great way to showcase your skills and collaborate with other developers. If you are looking for your first open source project to contribute to, start with top. We are always looking for ways to improve our curriculum, main site, and Odin bot v2 version 2. So check out our repositories on GitHub to get started. While you are at it, check out this dev.to article to learn how you can leverage open source contributions in your job search. So it's a dev.to article, how I got hired contributing to open source projects. Interesting article, my background, how I got to know about open source, and the life-changing move. So you can look at how you can do open source contribution. Your portfolio as a developer is GitHub. You may have a personal website, but GitHub is still the authoritative repository of your technical ability. Ignore it at your own peril, which means you should definitely check in everything from time to time into GitHub. It's like your LinkedIn for your technical career. A Programmer's Portfolio by Jeff Atwood, The Power of a Programming Portfolio by Grok Code, Your GitHub Portfolio by Forbes. So these are all interesting articles. Software engineers are in demand and GitHub is how you find them. So they're finding software engineers on GitHub, your next hire. Clean up your web presence and have one. Google yourself in an incognito window to avoid Google's smart algorithm. What comes up? Do the links fit into your personal narrative? Whoever is looking to hire you will certainly Google you. Make sure that what they find matches what you want them to find. If you have got a ridiculously common name, you may have a harder time building your web presence, but it's also harder to have the wrong web presence. The most important part of your web presence to fix up is your GitHub profile. Make sure your projects are organized and the README files contain a description and a link to where it is live so anyone looking at the project can quickly see your brilliance. So highlight your brilliance as well. Highlight the code, the parts of the code which you are especially proud of, because for any small, even for a small app, there is a lot of bloat code, there is a lot of boilerplate. So you want to highlight the part of the code which is the meat of the app and make it easier for your employer to find them. So put a spotlight on the meaty parts. Next, try to be discoverable. We are trying to get in touch with you or find your work on the web, can I? Do you have a personal website? Are you on Twitter? You don't need to go crazy with social media, but sometimes just having enough of a profile to be a real person and give people the opportunity to get in touch with you can go a long way. Use LinkedIn if you're not allergic to it. Again, this is about getting your personal narrative out there in the way you choose and not relying on Google to get it right. LinkedIn is fast replacing the resume, anyways. So people are going to find you on LinkedIn. Other sites like Brand Yourself Below will describe a bit better how to take on your web presence, but just make sure your narrative is being told the way you want it to. Brand Yourself helps you brand yourself. Basic services are free. Control your online reputation from Monster. So this is a Monster article. It's on Web Archive, so you can look into it. How important is it for a programmer to have an online presence on Stack Exchange? This seems interesting. On Stack Exchange, you can have people discussing on what are the things, how important it is for a programmer to have an online presence. So there are answers to that, what people think about it. How to build your digital presence as a software developer. So this is a blog, personal blog, creating a home for your brand online. So this is your personal, it's a Medium article and it's about your personal brand. Start blogging, make a portfolio website. So you can look through these. These are good articles. Get out in the community and collect information. Find and meet other developers. That doesn't mean power networking, but it does mean genuine human connection. Your network of people does matter in a big way. For now, it's probably just for answering questions and harvesting advice, but your next job will probably be found through the people you know and some whom you meet while you are gathering this advice. People like giving advice and like investing themselves emotionally in other people with growth curves. That's best to do in person, one on one, where you can ask your dumb questions. But there are plenty of communities as well. Example meetups, Stack Overflow, Coda, local user groups. Be a part of them and don't be afraid to ask questions. That's a great way to build relationships. You will probably have a million questions, but the relevant ones here are about understanding what exactly different jobs are and what they're looking for. The easiest way to find out is ask developers what they do. It's much faster than trawling through blog posts trying to figure out the process. Buy lunches and coffees if you must. Set a goal of talking to 5 real human beings about your job search. And this human being should already be in some kind of development jobs. Another way to get this information is to check out a whole bunch of job postings. You will quickly start seeing similarities between them. Yeah, it's shit work, but it must be done. Another facet of this is related to your web presence. Don't be afraid to produce content like blogging or answering questions on Coda. They don't need to be explicitly technical, but should showcase your ability to think critically and write well. Both of these play well with future employers. How to Win Friends and Influence People is an essential classic that relates to business and networking but is applicable to all facets of the social world around you. It's a must read for everyone and it's an easy read. So you should go through that book. That brings us to the end of this chapter. We'll move on to the next one, which is building a personal website. So this will be a project.